Well, guys, this is a big blast from the past because this is not someone that I've talked about in regards to the stream or politics in years. Like, I think back in 2019, 2020 is when Greta Thunberg was really getting around the news cycle. For those that don't know, she is a woman from Sweden who was like 15 years old maybe back in like 2020 2019, and she was a student who had gotten a ton of media attention due to a protest that she held, and she had repeatedly done this where she was engaging in creative attention grabbing forms of protest against the destruction of the climate. She wanted to encourage people to speak out and raise their voices about the destruction of habitats, the destruction of the ocean, of different species, the pollution of our planet, and she wanted people to vote in a way that would help to ensure more green policies in the future. As just a young girl who is out there in the mainstream spotlight, making her opinion known, as you can imagine, the right was really disgusting about her. I don't know if there's any like videos or news stories that like give a breakdown of what the media cycle around her was back in the day, but the right was really gross. Now, her being a child, as you can imagine, meant a lot of the nasty things conservatives had to say about her really crossed the line from just like shitty and rude into downright creepy or predatory. There was a lot of that from conservatives around Greta. And as she got older, it started to get a lot more angry and violent when it started to be less of an obvious case of adults calling for like the death or harm upon a child. And now she's an adult and yet still a very out there, outspoken activist. And recently she boarded a sailboat and set off to do a supply aid run to Gaza and provide Palestinians with food aid. For those who don't know, Israel has put a very strong blockade on Gaza and will not allow certain things into the country. In the past, there have been what you might be able to argue, I guess, are more reasonable restrictions on what food can enter, like sugar wasn't allowed in for a while because you can use sugar to make bombs, homemade bombs. But now, what they're keeping blocked out of the country is stuff like protein, particularly meat. They're like starving the population, not just on nothing. They're cutting off specific things in the Palestinian diet and essentially forcing the people in Gaza to undergo malnutrition in order to like weaken them, I guess, and make it easier for Israel to conquer them and take their land. That's the only motive I can see behind it. It's quite disgusting. And so with that in mind, Greta did something that, let's be real, could almost certainly only end the way that it did, which was she got in a sailboat and illegally tried to bring aid to Palestinians. Based as fuck of her, but unfortunately, this has now led to her getting detained by Israel. Her yacht has been seized. That's what they're calling it, as a selfie yacht, but it's just a little sailboat. The sailboat has been seized, and apparently she is being made to watch the October 7th atrocities from the terrorist attack, as if any amount of horrors committed there means that the children of Gaza deserve to die. But yeah, this whole story has gotten fucking crazy over the course of this last couple days, and I figure it's time for us to talk about it. So let's hop right on in.
Greta Thunberg, the 22-year-old Swedish climate activist, and her comrades have been taken into Israel and will be shown the graphic footage of Hamas's October 7th atrocities. Well, Josh Aaron's Israel activist joins us now to unpack. So Josh, 30,000 foot perspective, what do you think about this whole ordeal?
I think it's 100% a publicity stunt, and it's also a perfect picture of
a pro-Israel activist. So let's hear the framing of the situation from a pro-Israel activist.
The leftist jihadist alliance and what they want to do to our children, what they want to turn them into. It's entirely performative. It's entirely self-absorbed. And I'm glad that she will at least have to.
I love how, like, 5 years ago, Greta Thunberg needed to shut up because she was a child and shouldn't be taken seriously. Now she's an adult, and now she's like the predator trying to indoctrinate children. Like the right wing media sphere likes to do this game where it's like, are you a kid? Saying, hey, I'm a child. You guys claim you care about children. I'm talking about like how I'm being harmed by your policy and how things need to change. And they say, shut up, child. We don't need to listen to you. But if you're an adult advocating for children on an issue, then they call you like a predator, right? And so Greta Thunberg is getting that same treatment in real time. We've seen her get the infantilization when she was a child, and like, who cares what this girl is saying? What qualifications does she have to advocate for the climate? She's just a kid, and now she's an adult, and supposedly now that means she's part of the effort to radicalize and brainwash children.
To look at the footage and maybe actually make a comment about it, because so far she has said nothing about the hostages.
So defense minister,
Do you have to say anything about the hostages? Like, it's always this game of like, all right, now to be clear, I don't even need to be clear about this. I've literally talked plenty about the amount of people within the like left that go beyond just advocating for the safety and freedom of Palestinians and go into straight up like one state solution, Israel must fall type shit. You know what I mean? Those people exist, and Israel activists, quote unquote, like to take advantage of that fact to push the idea that if you are in favor of Palestinian children not dying at, the hands of the IDF, then that must mean that you're okay with the hostages being held. The hostages who, up until like a couple weeks ago, are still being exchanged. Israel and Hamas are still exchanging hostages. Like, the hostage exchanging has not stopped. You know, like I don't see like how not wanting these children to die means that like that one atrocity you're in favor of it, you know? Like there are people who are clearly in favor of that atrocity, you know, Hassan for instance, but it doesn't seem like Greta Thunberg is one of those people just because she was bringing aid to Palestinians. It's this like tricky little game they play, you know? Like yes, Hamas did an awful thing, but that little 10-year-old that we watched a video of who is going out to like heat up like water in a public clay furnace that's burning using particle board from destroyed furniture is not part of Hamas. That kid is barely surviving and is sleeping in a sleeping bag on the floor every night. He is not Hamas. He's 12. He's not Hamas.
Israel Katz said, and I quote, "It's appropriate that Greta, the anti-Semite, and her Hamas supporting
this is a Christian news network. I like watching conservative coverage of situations like this because I like to hear their like deranged twisting of the actual story.
Friends should see exactly who is the terror group Hamas and that they support and act on behalf of. What atrocious acts they carried out on women, the elderly, and kids, and who Israel is fighting for in its defense." So is this
no, well, I won't say no one, but most people are not protesting Israel defending itself against Hamas. Once again, they're protesting Israel flattening Gaza and killing Palestinian children. That is the thing that has gotten so many people pissed off, I think.
Supporting the Palestinians in any way? What do you think the ultimate goal of this is?
I think it's all about publicity. I think.
Well, yes, technically. I guess this is part of the cleverness of their argument because, yes, all politics is about publicity because politics is about popularity. Like, the only way you achieve anything in politics is your ideas being popular. So, yeah, there's an element of wanting publicity, but also I think the goal here is to stop the death of Palestinian children. I love this. What is the goal here? What is the radical left trying to do? I think they want less Palestinian children to die. I think that's what their main goal is, actually.
This young woman was brainwashed as a child, and she was exposed to a lot of the same curriculum and ideas and so on that they're putting into all of our public schools and our universities, as we've
Mind you, Donald Trump is currently threatening to withhold funding to schools that do not teach that Trump won the election in 2020 and that it was stolen from him illegally. This is the, like, not teaching that is the brainwashing happening in schools.
Seen. And the goal is to get attention and not actually help anybody. I think this actually does great damage to the Palestinians that she claims to care so much about, including the successful aid deliveries to Gaza that have been happening, that Hamas is working tirelessly to shut down because Hamas wants to maintain control. And so if
Well, Hamas isn't trying to shut them down. Hamas is trying to take all of the food aid and use it for their own soldiers and military causes. It's the like the civilians in Palestine that are struggling to get access to it because the armed militia with guns wants all of the resources and aid being sent into Gaza.
if anything, she's doing a disservice to the Palestinian people she claims to care about.
You know, I've noticed that with people, let's call them that are just, you know, very anti-Israel, that just hate the idea of Zionism, and they've been told all these things, that when they're actually confronted with video.
I like how we're talking about Greta Thunberg like she's Hassan Piker. You know, like, don't get me wrong, there are Hassans out there, but like, at what point did Greta do something that indicated she was one of those people? Like, we're going on this like big rant, but we're responding to nothing here. Like, she might as well have just like coughed, and then we put together this whole video about how what she's doing is harming the Israeli hostages being held by Hamas. Like, I don't know.
Like she's about to be a speaker being in Israel, it starts to poke holes in these narratives where it's like, whoa, that's not true. If, you know, if 50%, over 50% of Israeli Jews actually come from the Middle East, North Africa, and, you know, if there's 21% of the Israeli population is Arab, and there's Arabs on the Supreme Court of Israel, and there's all these little, you know, holes start coming out, and it starts to
Israel can't be bigoted against Arabs or anti-Palestinian or anti-Muslim because there is an Arab person on the Israeli Supreme Court. Listen, something the left has a tendency to do, and the right does this as well, just a lot of political pundits in general, kind of monolithologize. I don't know if there's a term for when you make something out to be a monolith. Israel. Israel is like talked about like it's an entity, like it's a concept or an idea or something like that, or some kingdom off in a far distant land. But it's a country with complicated political, like, Overton window debate and disagreement. There are people who are regulars in my chat and in my community who live in Israel and are Israeli, who are not in favor of what the IDF is doing in Gaza and what it's doing to Palestinians, yet they're still Israeli. You know, there are tons of people in Israel that protest the military action taken by Israel against Palestinian civilians. They protest the killings and the murders and the genocide shit. Like, Israel is not a country of racist monsters that all through and through, like, every one of them wants Palestinians dead. But it's a country that, much like America, has entered a weird political era. They've elected somebody really shitty, really fascist, someone who is currently wanted by the ICC for war crimes and is to be tried at The Hague if the International Criminal Court can get their hands on him. Like, they're in a similar political situation to America right now. Like, America's not through and through evil, every person in it evil, conceptually, just because we are in a bad stint right now, but Israel's in a similar spot. They've elected bad people, but the country itself doesn't deserve to no longer exist. Though I'd say the same of Gaza, Palestine, and the Palestinians too. I believe the term you're looking for is pathological engineering. Zan, the act of creating deceptive yet convincing narratives. I guess that's a fair definition for it, but I don't know if it's the exact word I'm looking for.
Crack the violent anti-Israel narrative. Doesn't mean that you become this super pro-Israel guy, but at least you have a more nuanced, balanced view. And my hope is that Greta, seeing this, you know, I've seen some of it, most of it blurred, but it's not easy to. I mean, it's
What, you could just say the same shit about what's happened to Palestinian children. Do they? Okay, how many people? How many? It was like 3,000 people or something died. October 7th death toll. 1,195 people were killed. 736 Israeli civilians, including 36 children, 79 foreign nationals, and 379 members of the security forces. 364 civilians were killed and many more wounded while attending the Nova Music Festival. At least 14 Israeli civilians were killed by the IDF's use of the Hannibal Directive. Ooh! Wait, the IDF was killed its own civilians on October 7th? That's crazy, bro. I had no clue. At least 14 Israeli civilians were killed by the IDF's use of the Hannibal Directive on October 7th. That is crazy how you play the whole atrocity game where you're like, oh, how can you be in favor of these people? These people are monsters, all of them. Look what some of them did. And then meanwhile, like that atrocity was like, some of your own people were killed by your people there. Like 14 of those deaths were done by the IDF. The people were protesting. Your own IDF has killed your own civilians. Anyway, now let's see how many Palestinians have died since October 7th. Let's find out. So this is from March 23rd, 2025. The current reports are Gaza's Ministry of Health said on Sunday that at least 50,000 Palestinians have been killed and 113,274 wounded since Israel began attacking the besieged territory following an attack led by the Palestinian group Hamas on October 7th. So we're talking less than 2,000 people killed in a tragedy. Very awful, very terrible, don't get me wrong. Measured up against the 50,000 Palestinian deaths that she was protesting. How are you going to do the atrocity game here and be like, oh my God, have you seen the videos of how horrible October 7th was? Yes, we've seen the videos of how horrible October 7th was. Have you seen the years worth of footage of the tens of thousands of Palestinians killed in Gaza? Because if you did, you wouldn't be making this argument, or I guess you still would, but you know, it's ridiculously hypocritical in my eyes, the point he's trying to make here, and the argument that Israel's trying to make. She never indicated she was in favor of the October 7th attack. It might surprise you, but not wanting Palestinians murdered does not make you pro-terrorism. As shocking as it may be.
Video I think you will ever see in your entire life. So hopefully it penetrates a heart.
It's definitely up there, but you know what else is up there? The countless videos of Palestinian children, like, gray. They're always gray because they're so covered in ash and they've been dead for so long, being pulled out of the rubble after the IDF bombs another children's hospital in Gaza. I've seen plenty of those videos, and those are pretty up there too, but yeah, I mean, you don't care.
Hardened heart, and she has, at least a more complicated view of what's actually happened here. So Josh, I'll give you the last word. Let's say someone is watching this who has a similar view of Greta. They just can't stand Israel. They think that Israel is the cancer of the world, and it's that if we could just get rid of Israel.
When did Greta say this? Maybe Greta said these things, but they're just doing bad journalism, bad reporting if they're not showing it, even giving us a quote. Because all she did was go to Israel or go to Gaza on a boat to provide aid to Palestinians. At no point did she say, may Gaza rise, may Israel fall, or some shit like that. Like, she never said anything like that.
The reworld piece. But they're actually watching this video. They're watching you right now. What would you say to them?
I would say primarily it's a heart thing, and you have to be searching for the truth, which means you can't just be looking at the things that validate what you already think and maybe what you've already said, because she's going to...
That's right, guys. Listen to what they tell you to believe. Only listen to what these pundits tell you to believe, because if you actually do your own research, we literally just looked into the numbers. We actually did the research and looked into the numbers on this issue to debunk the dog shit argument that makes up the entirety of their video. Meanwhile, they're doing their whole, just do your own research. Don't just look at what validates your opinions. It's like, meanwhile, what they want you to do is watch their video and believe and agree with everything they tell you to.
To be exposed to the footage of what actually happened, which I agree with you, Raj, is one of the most brutal, evil things that's ever been done in history. And it's a test. Will you continue to just keep repeating the same things that you have and really contributing to that? Or will you take a step back and admit, hey, maybe I was wrong about some things and I need to reevaluate my stance on this? A lot of people are waiting for that. I'm hopeful that she will and people like her will, but the fact is that the truth has been out there all along and you cannot escape it. You have to choose to turn a blind eye to it. And so you have to look inward and
look inward. Don't look outward. Don't do research. Look inward. It's about heart, as he said.
Decide, am I going to search for the truth even if it's not?
The truth is inside of you. It's been inside of you all along. Look inside of yourself.
The most popular opinion, or am I going to continue down really a road that leads ultimately to death and suffering? So
the conservatives love to argue they are right because opinions they have are popular on things like trans people in sports, for instance. And yet on an issue like this where their opinion is not really the popular one, they go and they say, what are you going to do? Just believe the most popular opinion? That's literally their main attack on the left 90% of the time on most social issues, is how can you believe this? It's just common sense, you're wrong. Most people believe trans men are, or trans women are men. You know, that kind of logic.
I hope she does, and the people with her do. Some of them went to the funeral of Hassan Nasrallah, the Hezbollah terrorist, so they're pretty dug in on their ideology.
Greta Thunberg went to Hassan Nasrallah's funeral.
That you start with are the ideas that you end with, and so
by the way, if you look into this story, all the top recommended like news videos by YouTube are all conservative. This is the first one that wasn't overtly anti-Greta Thunberg in the thumbnail and title that came up when I searched this story on YouTube, and it was this. So you basically go down a whole page of just videos like this talking about this story, and that tells me right there we are in a dark age when it comes to media coverage of certain events, because the right just has it fucking dominated. Let's read the comments. She's not trying to feed Gazans, but her ego. We should all be praying that she uses her platform to admit that she was wrong and share the truth about this October 7th massacre. Greta is an expert in paid protests. Calling Greta Thunberg a climate expert is like calling Hamas a humanitarian organization. No one has called Greta a climate expert. Greta and her merry shipmates said the small and insignificant amount of food they were carrying was, quote, symbolic. In other words, just enough for propaganda purposes. The fact that we're still talking about this troll is ridiculous. Greta and colleagues should shout for free hostages abducted by Hamas, instead of condemning Israel. Make her watch it October 7th. She needs to know the truth. All these college students should be forced to watch all that footage, too. I've said that since the protests started. I'll always be standing with Israel. They need to be shown it twice and be made to write a report on it. Shame on them. Prayers for Israel and the hostages and families. Greta is the world's biggest fool. Her parents are failed parents benefiting from the monetary benefits of her... Her parents are failed parents benefiting from the monetary benefits of her stunt. Failed parents, failed little girl. Genius has limits, but stupidity has no bounds. Total clown show. Why not let her immerse in the life in Gaza, Sudan, Yemen, and the other wasting Arabs, so she'll be able to show them much empathy. I feel like that last comment is a good place to kind of end that comment reading spree. The comments in that video are cancer. It's a big part of why the right is so successful in reaching a wide audience, because when a conservative watches a video about a story, they feel so compelled to just repeat the same opinion of the video in the comments, you know? She's not trying to feed Gazans, but her ego. That's the top comment. It's yeah, that's the whole argument that the video made. Why are you just restating the argument of the video? But meanwhile, the fact that conservatives tend to do this means these videos are super high up in the algorithm. That's why I ended up clicking it. I'd never heard of CBN before. I thought we were going to find a somewhat normal, reasonable news story covering that situation, but I guess, you know what? Surprise response segment. I won't get mad about it. Anyway, you guys, if you enjoyed this segment, if you found it entertaining, educational, enjoyable in any way, then please consider leaving a like. Every thumbs up you guys leave on my content goes a long way to boost the channel and the algorithm. It really does mean the world to me. It's the best way to make sure that YouTube pushes my stuff to new people and the channel actually grows. And on top of that, if you want to comment as well and you don't know what to say, you can just say, "Who up Xandering they haul?" Everybody who comments, everyone who likes, it helps in the algorithm, like I said. You can also subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload new videos in the future. And be sure to follow my social medias, linked down below as well. I especially recommend you join my fan Discord, as it's the main hub of my community and my fan base online. And on top of that, I host gaming events, call-in streams, watch parties, and movie nights there every Friday, every week. And I also announce all my new uploads and streams there. So if you ever miss anything on YouTube, at least the notification from Discord will tell you. And finally, if you want to support me directly, financially, help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xander Hall merch through the Streamlabs link down below. Regardless of how you guys support me, though, thank you guys so much for watching, as always, and have a good one.